Let's check in with our director of recruiting, Steve Wiltfong. Steve, also in San Antonio ahead of the All-American Bowl. And just like we saw Tuesday, there's going to be some more in-game commitments. So let's roll through some of them, starting with 2023 wide receiver Malik Elzy. What's the latest with his recruitment?
Yeah, former Cincinnati commit who reopened his process in October. I like where Illinois is trending with Malik Elzy. They never backed off him, got an official visit in June, and continue to work on him even when he was committed to Cincinnati. Now, I think with Luke Fickell and many of that staff making the move to Madison, it's made the Badgers interesting, but home cooking, the opportunity to come help Illinois continue to develop as a program under Brett Bielema and company is very exciting to Malik Elzy. This is a program that had a terrific defense this fall, but needs dynamic playmakers on offense, game changers in the receiver room. Malik Elzy would add to that, and I like where Illinois stands going into his commitment.
Steve, TCU seemed to be the favorite for athlete Mikhail Harrison-Pilot, but earlier this week, you flipped your crystal ball from the Horned Frogs to Houston. What compelled you to make that switch in your prediction ahead of the announcement?
Yeah, well, he took a late official visit to both programs, and I think that last official visit to Houston reminded him of how much at home he feels on the Cougars campus. His dad played for Houston. He's been visiting there for camps and football recruiting activities for years. Has built a great relationship with Coach Shorts over there. Dana Holgerson's offense is an exciting one. And then the development of guys like true freshman receiver Matthew Golden is also enticing to Mikhail Harrison-Pilot. And I think that they're in terrific position to land the pass catcher going into his announcement.
How about Jamari Johnson? He's been committed to Louisville since April, but did not sign in December. So where do things stand with him and Jeff Brom?
Yeah, and he's entertained opportunities from Oregon and Pittsburgh, and I think the Ducks have given him a lot to think about going into Saturday's announcement. But talking to him this week and talking to other sources with knowledge of the recruitment, I think he's going to end up sticking with Louisville. Louisville's had a lot of big wins this cycle on the trail, and I think keeping Jamari Johnson in the fold would be a big one for this new staff, Jeff Brom and company.
Let's move on to big offensive tackle Kaden Jones out of New Orleans. Steve, the most recent official visits were to Florida and Texas A&M. Your crystal ball is on the Gators. How do you see this one shaking out?
Yeah, also took an official visit to Houston, so Coach Holgerson and company in on some big-time guys here late in the cycle. But as you said, I do like Florida here for Kaden Jones. Visited back in the summer, returned for a game this fall, took his official visit in December. Long-standing relationship with Billy Napier and company going back to Coach Nape's time at the University of Louisiana. I think on his official visit, getting an opportunity to be around some of the commits and guys in the locker room who really fit in there, and Coach Sale and the abundance of offensive line coaches that Florida has in that building, I think it's a place where he could really see himself developing. Blair, as you know, he's the biggest young man here, the only one to measure in at over 6'7". He's extremely long. He's got massive features here, big hands. He's got a lot of exciting developmental upside there. Florida, to turn their program around, they need big recruiting wins at the point of attack on both sides, and I think this is one that goes their way.
Okay, I don't have the specs on the top of my mind for 2023 corner Tyler Scott. I'm thinking shorter than 6'7", though. He's also announcing on Saturday the Crystal Balls, saying Auburn. Do you still like the Tigers to land the 3-star?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's one of the more physically ready defensive backs to come in and play on the next level based on what we've seen at the All-America Bowl practice here. He's been in on a ton of plays, too. So a guy that at one point was committed to Arkansas State that really changed his fortunes with good film as a senior that's carried over to the All-America Bowl. He took official visits to Alabama, Auburn, Texas, USC, also entertained Michigan and several others. But I think led by Zach Etheridge and Coach Crime, Wesley McGriff, the new staff at Auburn and being able to help build something, I think that's what excites him about the Plains. And I think that Auburn adds him to a class that currently ranks number 20 nationally. And alongside guys like Kayan Lee and Sylvester Smith and Terrence Love would give them a sneaky good defensive backhaul in the SEC.
Steve, we've seen Jelani McDonald over the course of this week at the All-American Bowl, the number 5 rated athlete in the country. He's been tremendous all week. Who is going to get Jelani McDonald?
Yeah, he's been as good as anybody. He's been in San Antonio through a few days of practice here. A guy that's a tremendous athlete that can play a number of positions on the next level. My crystal ball is on Texas. Texas has the #3 recruiting class in the country. This is a former Oklahoma State commit that visited TCU in Texas a couple times since reopening his process. And I think the opportunity to sit down with Coach Choate on his official visit to Texas in mid-December, where he was able to show him how he would be utilized in the defense, has separated the Longhorns from the other schools. This is a guy who's got terrific cover ability. He can play corner, he can play safety, he can play rover, he can come down in the box and be physical. He's out here checking the best receivers in the country one-on-one on an island. This would be a massive get for a much improved Texas defense that wants to take another step forward with another terrific recruiting class. We know Anthony Hill's been a terrific linebacker here for them, but to add him to Malik McDonald and Derek Williams in the secondary would be massive for Steve Sarkisian and company, and I think they're going to do it.
All right, Saturday's game will feature the top talent in the 2023 class, but one of the top players in the 24 class also making his announcement during the game. That's four-star safety Peyton Woodyard. His finalists are Georgia, USC, Notre Dame, and Ohio State, but where are you leaning, Steve?
I like where Georgia stands for Peyton Woodyard, but this one has gotten exciting down the stretch. I think that Ohio State was always the program that was considered 1B to Georgia's 1A. He's visited Athens several times, including Georgia's victory over Tennessee. Great relationship with Fran Brown, Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp and company. But Texas, who did not list, they come in the last couple weeks, make this awfully interesting. Perhaps he goes to Texas, but I'm sticking with my Georgia crystal ball going into Peyton Woodyard's announcement.
Georgia's also in the mix for TJ Capers, the #2 rated edge in the 2024 class, who will also reveal his announcement on Saturday. Colorado, USC, Miami, Louisville also in that top 5. What's the latest with Capers, Steve?
Well, I like where Louisville stands for TJ Capers, led by one of the best off-field recruiters in the country, John Herron, also known as Hova. Has got terrific relationships in South Florida, and TJ Capers is a guy that he's got his hooks into, and he loves what Louisville's doing and the potential with that program. He also has a relationship with Coach Ivey, a holdover from the last staff under Coach Brom and company. He's going to coach the backers. TJ Capers, a guy that's got a lot of developmental upside as an edge rusher. We saw Louisville get some major recruiting wins in 2023. I think that they get off and running here in 2024 with a big one from 24/7 Sports Composite 5-star TJ Capers.
Okay, so we just ran through all of the guys expected to make their commitments during the All-American game. But, Steve, I'm checking our chat right now on YouTube. People have a million questions for you, so I'm going to put you on the spot here and pick out one, okay? This one is from Blake F. Where does Oregon sit with 5-star Nyckoles Harbor? Oregon.
Well, I'm glad you asked this question because I actually talked to a source today about it. And I think that Oregon's a program that could really be on the rise in this recruitment. This is a young man whose aspirations right now are to run in the next Olympics and try and win a gold medal. And there's no program on his short list with a track record of developing Olympians than Oregon. So you have Michigan, you have South Carolina, and you have Maryland. Those are 3 programs that are in terrific position for him going into this trip with Oregon. But I think that Oregon has a lot of runway going into this January official to make a major move, because I think him trying to win a gold medal is way more relevant than people have been talking about here as of late. And so track is going to be a major, major, major component of his decision. And Oregon has the track record with guys like Devin Allen and DeAnthony Thomas and several guys that are on their football team right now that are also doing track. It's Track Capital USA. They have historic Hayward Field out there. I think he's going to love his official visit, so we'll see if the Ducks can make a move. Michigan and Maryland have always been in great position. Fantastic relationship with the South Carolina commits and their staff. But keep an eye on Oregon. That's a big official visit, and I can't wait to see what happens coming out of it.
Okay, runway, track record. I see what you're doing there, Steve. You thanked me for asking the question, but I want to thank Blake. That was a great question. We'll see what happens there. If you have more for Steve, you should check out new episodes of the Wiltfong Whip Around, dropping every Monday and Friday on the 24/7 Sports YouTube page.